I am 32 years old, and I am in a relationship with a guy who is 30 years old for the last 2.5 years. We are madly in love with each other, and the guy genuinely cares for me. To take our relationship to the next stage, I asked the guy for marriage, but his response was that I come from a very modern family, whereas he comes from a very orthodox family, and his single mother would never accept a non-Punjabi girl. He has been trying for the last year, but she's not ready. That's what he told me, although we never made a joint effort to talk to his family. He never let me talk to his mom or any other friends or relatives. Also, he had a similar case with his brother, who did love marriage, and his mother didn't accept the girl even after 2 kids, and now they are on the verge of divorce. He fears we will go through the same thing. He was very young when his dad passed away, and his mom took care of the family since then, so it's very difficult for him to go against his mom. That guy is not at fault, but he is also not taking a stand for me. With his response, I am deeply shattered to a point where I'm getting panic attacks every day. I madly want to be with him, and I see a great future with him. But his belief is, if we go this way, there will be fights and arguments every day between the family, and it won't last long. He is proposing that we go back to friendship and have a business together. I know the person is not at fault, but it's not easy for me to set aside my emotions. I'm ready to wait and fight for it, but he's very firm that his Orthodox family would never accept me. He has made many sacrifices in his life since his childhood and took on many responsibilities at an early age, and that's why it's easier for him to sacrifice one more time for his family. But he's not understanding that this sacrifice can cost and affect multiple lives. Questions. 1. What is the best approach moving forward? Wait and fight or move on? 2. Any suggestions to deal with panic attacks? 3. I'm also afraid that I am 32 years old and will not find a good partner at this age. 4. Does complete detachment help more in this case, or being friends and business partners? He is proposing that we stay connected, but not emotionally. I am having difficulty detaching. 5. I have faced 3 similar heartbreaks in the past, where the guy's parents were not ready. I appreciate your help and support in this situation. Thank you. Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post did not have any comments. Now, for the update. About a month after the last convo, I got a text from my boyfriend asking to meet at a local diner. I knew it was urgent when I saw the text because we hardly ever met in public. He picked the diner because he knew I loved their coffee, but we always went to this little cafe near my place where we could be more private. I was nervous on the way since I had no idea what he wanted to talk about. I just hoped he wasn't going to end things because I was still so obsessed with him and just wanted to be with him. I arrived at the diner and noticed that he looked more tense than usual. He was tapping his fingers on the table and wouldn't make eye contact, which was unlike him. He greeted me in an unusually formal manner, and I could feel the distance between us. I thought I was just being paranoid, but it felt like we were strangers meeting for the first time. He made small talk to ease the silence, but it was so forced. I asked him if he wanted to go for a walk instead, but he declined and said he just wanted to talk here and get it over with. He mentioned that his mom had been pressuring him about marriage during family dinners. He said she keeps asking him when he was going to settle down and how he was getting old, which was kind of funny to say because he was only 30. He was jokingly complaining about it to me since I was the one who brought up marriage first, but I could tell he was getting more stressed out about it. He felt guilty about not introducing me to his family yet, but insisted it was for my own good. He said that if I met his family, I wouldn't be able to leave even if I wanted to, which made no sense to me. He kept dropping hints about his mom's health declining. He said she had been in and out of the hospital for the past couple of years, but the doctor said it was nothing severe. He said his mom was using it as a tactic to push him into marriage, which was honestly kind of messed up. I felt bad for her since I loved her son so much, but I was also getting angry at her for doing this to us. He suggested again that we focus on our business idea instead of our relationship. I really didn't understand why he was so focused on us being business partners instead of life partners. I wanted him to change my last name, not be my boss. He admitted that his mom had threatened to cut ties if he married outside of their culture. I knew this was coming, but hearing it from him made it so much more real. He had mentioned that his family was traditional, but I thought they would make an exception for him since he's such a catch. He hesitated and asked me to be a good sport about it. He told me that his family was planning a big celebration for his brother's baby shower. He reluctantly agreed, but warned me that his mom would not be welcoming. I told him I didn't care because I was so in love with him and wanted to be with him for the rest of my life, no matter what that looked like. I wanted to fight for us, and I was willing to do anything to prove that to him. At the baby shower, I arrived with a gift for the baby, feeling hopeful. I was so excited to meet his family and get their approval of us. I wanted to be with him so bad that I was willing to eat whatever food they made and listen to whatever they had to say. I was ready to jump in. I saw his family interacting and felt out of place, but pushed through. The moment I arrived, I felt everyone's eyes on me. His mom greeted me coolly, making me feel unwelcome immediately. She was so polite on the phone when we talked about the baby shower, but now that I was here, she was acting so cold. I tried to engage in convo with her and the other family members, but was met with short responses. She told me I looked different than what she expected, and I told her that I had worn a lot of makeup for today, but I usually didn't wear any. As the event went on, I overheard his mom discussing her dislike for outsiders. I was just trying to enjoy the celebration, but I couldn't ignore how uncomfortable she was making me feel. I tried to bond with other family members, sharing stories about my own family. I wanted them to see that even though we were different, we were still similar in so many ways. His brother's wife seemed supportive, but ultimately sided with her mother-in-law. She told me that her mother-in-law was just looking out for her son, and I tried to explain that my boyfriend was still a good person who deserved love too, but she wasn't hearing it. During the cake-cutting ceremony, his mom made a toast subtly belittling me. I was so humiliated and hurt. I thought this was going to be a happy occasion, but she had to ruin it for me. After the toast, I confronted my boyfriend about his mom's behavior. He brushed it off, claiming it was just a joke, which angered me. I told him that there was a time and a place for jokes, and this was neither. I felt so defeated by the whole situation. I just wanted to leave, so I told him that I was going home. I didn't want him to see me cry, so I walked home and tried to pull myself together. As I left, his mom made a pointed comment about me leaving early. It was so passive-aggressive, and I couldn't believe she would be like this on such an important day. My boyfriend rushed after me, apologizing and asking me to stay. He looked so disheveled and embarrassed, and I felt bad because I knew his family was giving him a hard time for me leaving. A week later, I got a text from him asking to meet again. I didn't want to see him after everything that happened, but I missed him so much that I couldn't refuse. We met in a quiet corner in the diner, and he seemed more open this time. I could tell he was thinking a lot about our future together. He shared that his brother and sister-in-law were planning to move away, which might ease family tensions. I was so thrilled to hear that because I knew it would give us the space we needed. I suggested we consider moving to a new city together, far from the family pressures. He seemed intrigued, but hesitant, claiming he needed time to think about it. I could tell he was scared, and I didn't want to pressure him into anything. He finally agreed to explore the idea of moving together. Edit. It has been about 2 months since the last conversation. We have met a few more times, and he is starting to open up more about his family's expectations. It has been difficult not to get angry at him for not being more assertive, but I know he is scared about what will happen with us. He has seen terrible things happen to other couples in similar situations, and he keeps saying we are a good match, so we shouldn't have to do this. I understand where he is coming from, and I am trying my best to be patient and supportive. He has not introduced me to his family since the last time we met, but he has been good about keeping the lines of communication open. He has started using the term "we" when talking about our plans for the future, which makes me so happy. He is still committed to the idea of moving out of the area together, but he is still scared about the consequences. Am I the idiot for telling my storm-chasing boyfriend to get his priorities straight or get lost? So I, 25 years old, female, and my boyfriend, 30 years old, male, have been together for almost 3 years. I knew from the beginning he had a hobby he was very passionate about, and that it is somewhat different from what I'm used to. I have to admit, a person who loves spending quality time with people I love. I had a hobby that I loved once, but now I'm more about quality company. I still like to have time to myself, but I never needed it as much as the people around me. My boyfriend, on the other hand, likes his alone time, needs it more than I do, and has a hobby that really can't be planned in advance. He doesn't know when he is not going to be home or for how long, and I can't live without planning everything. It's just an unfortunate situation. I love his ambition, and I would never let him give up the thing that relaxes him and brings him joy. But the thing is, being with him and spending some quality time together is what brings me joy and what I really need after work or when I'm handling a lot of stress. When we do spend time together, it's rarely what I consider quality time, because just watching television or being in the same room does not meet my needs. It gets worse when he just has to leave suddenly, even if we didn't have plans together, because it can happen literally in the middle of the day, a movie or something else. I didn't plan to do something by myself or arrange a coffee with my friends, and I get irritated by that. I know I shouldn't, and I should just be okay with it, but I don't know how. I don't have a problem with him having his alone time or us being separated for hours or even days. I just need to know about it so that I can plan my hours or days with myself or my friends. The other issue is that he spends a lot of time on his phone prior to going out because he has to check what the situation is like and whether he is going or not, and it stresses me out so much. I never know if he's going to go out in 15 minutes, an hour, or not at all. I can't plan anything, and I am so scared that I won't be a priority when something important occurs if he has to go. I am scared of what having children will look like. Am I going to be left alone out of the blue? Is he going to resent me, or am I going to resent him? He says he will always have time for us, and I will always be his priority, but I can't help but feel unsure. I don't want to hold him back, but I don't want to keep the relationship going if we will never be on the same page. And I want to get to that page so much. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. For now, it's really not that often. In the summer when it's storm season, it can happen a few days in a row, like the last few days, but usually it's not that often. The problem is, he can't stop talking about us buying a car and then going storm chasing wherever he wants. It scares me, and I told him that, but whatever he says, we don't know what the future will look like. I know his friends' wives had problems with storm chasing also, but somehow they live with it. I have a feeling I will learn to. I could just use advice or perspective, as you kindly offered. Thank you. Comment 2. Oh, I should have written what it is. Storm chasing. It's not as intense as in the US, but whenever there is a storm coming or an opportunity to photograph something, he has to watch all the radars and talk to his friends so that they know when to go outside. Also, it's not for days, it's for hours. I just wanted to clarify that I wouldn't mind him being gone even for days, but I would just like some notice. Tonight we were in the middle of a movie. I've been stressed lately, and I needed it. And he had to go because there has been some unexpected development. Now for the update. Just over a month has passed since the last update, and I'm more frustrated with my boyfriend's unpredictability. Like, it's honestly getting worse. We went to a close friend's birthday party at a local bowling alley. I thought it would be fun, but my boyfriend spent most of the night outside on his phone, checking for last-minute plans with his hobby group. I tried to talk to him, but he just kept stepping away for calls. It was so annoying. I ended up just bowling with my friends while he was out there doing whatever. I overheard him talking about meeting up with a group of people, and it made me anxious. Like, why can't he just focus on spending time with me and our friends? After the party, I confronted him about his constant phone use and lack of attention. He was pretty defensive about it, saying it was just a casual meetup and reassuring me that I was his priority. I suggested we create a schedule to better plan our time together, but he just seemed dismissive about the idea of scheduling his passion. The next weekend, we went to my family's annual barbecue. It was really fun, but my parents asked us about future plans, and it put me in an awkward position. My boyfriend joked about needing more me time, which confused my family. I just awkwardly laughed it off. Later that evening, I noticed he stepped away to take a call again. When he came back, he said it was just a friend asking for help with something trivial. I decided to look through his messages on my phone when he fell asleep. I know, not the best move. But I found a series of texts discussing plans for a big event with his hobby group. The texts showed he was organizing a competition that would take up a lot of time. I confronted him the next morning about the messages. He said he didn't think it was a big deal and that he would still make time for me. He got defensive, saying that I was trying to control his passion. We had a heated argument, and I ended up leaving the apartment. I just needed some space and time to think. A week later, he texted me that he was moving to the new city. He didn't ask me to join him or talk about the decision further. That hurt. The unexpected twist came when he showed up at my parents' house unannounced. He brought a suitcase, saying he wanted to work things out and that he wanted to make it work, but had no plan in mind. It was just so typical of him. Now I'm facing a big decision about whether to take him back or move forward alone. Edit. I realize I didn't mention how involved he was in his hobby. He was in a leadership position, which meant he was heavily invested in organizing events. I also didn't explain how I initially joined him in his hobby. I was part of his group for a while, but I lost interest. I think he still has some hope that I'll return to it, but I have no desire to do so. Am I the idiot for dumping my boyfriend after he ditched me during a painful medical procedure and lied about seeing another woman? My boyfriend, 23 years old, and I, 25 years old, have been dating for a year. He promised me he would go to a doctor's appointment with me today to get my intrauterine device removed. This happened to me before, and the pain was unbearable. He was completely silent last night, so I asked if anything was wrong. I said he didn't need to tell me what it was. I just wanted to know if I could help or if he needed space. He said everything was fine, but talked to his friend all night, even when I asked for attention. I told him I was going to smoke some Zaza to chill out. It turned into me crying hysterically because I was afraid of the pain of the procedure, and he didn't want to talk to me, so I felt alone. He was acting kind of cold, and he knows in the past I've had people leave me right before events like this, so I started getting paranoid. This morning he admitted he was stressed all last night because of work and was complaining to his friend. He works a regular 9 to 5, and yes, his boss is difficult, but he knows I know, so why couldn't he have just said, work stress? This morning, right before we left, I got annoyed because he will repeatedly not tell me why he's upset and tell me everything is fine until I'm paranoid. I told him today, why not just tell me, babe? I'm so stressed I can't talk right now, and I need space instead of acting kind of cold and giving me one-word answers. It makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong, especially if it lasts for hours. I just wanted to watch a movie and relax with you last night before today. He gave me an attitude, so I left and went for a car ride for 5 minutes, just around the block to clear my head. I came back to find him leaving in an Uber. My mom got mad at him, blaming me for leaving for 5 minutes, and inappropriately overstepped, getting mad at him on my behalf. I went to her and told her not to triangulate, then went to him begging him to stay to take me to the procedure because I needed him to help me feel safe. He promised me the whole week he would take me. He left, and then I guess napped, so I didn't hear from him until hours after the procedure. I tried calling, and he said he didn't want to talk to me. I called crying, asking why, and he said he would contact me when he wanted to, when he wasn't stressed anymore, which could be later today or days from now. I have big issues with rejection and abandonment. I called him crying, asking to see him, that all I wanted was a hug from him, and he finally let me come over, but he didn't seem happy with me coming over at first. I didn't say anything mean, just that I wanted his support. Do I continue to interact with him at this point or give him space? Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post did not have any comments. Now for the update. It's been 3 weeks since the appointment, and things with my boyfriend are still all kinds of messed up. After the whole thing, he barely reached out, like he just forgot I existed. I spent days waiting for a call or a text, just anything to show he cared. Nothing. So I thought, screw this, I need a break from all this drama. I decided to take a weekend trip to my parents' place just to clear my head and not lose my mind. Plus, they're always good for some home-cooked meals and laundry service. While I was there, my mom brought up how my boyfriend hadn't really checked in at all and how distant he seemed. Like, thanks, Mom. I needed that reminder. I was already feeling pretty low about it. So, after a few days of trying to enjoy my parents' company, I returned home and texted him, asking if we could finally talk. At this point, I was desperate to know what the hell was going on in his head. He replies that he's busy with work and doesn't have time to chat. Okay, fine. I guess work is important. But then I see on social media that he went out with friends the night before. Oh, so you have time for friends but not your girlfriend? I decided to confront him during a dinner we had planned at this new place in town. I asked him directly why he had been avoiding me, expecting a real conversation. Instead, he just deflected and said he was stressed and didn't want to burden me with his problems. As if I wasn't already carrying the weight of this relationship on my own. During dinner, I noticed he kept glancing at his phone, which just felt super dismissive. Like, dude, I'm right in front of you. I called him out on his behavior, and of course, he got defensive and started raising his voice. The couple at the next table looked over, clearly uncomfortable, and that just added to the awkwardness. It was like our own little reality show, but not the fun kind. The next day, I get a message from my older brother, asking if I'm okay. He mentioned that he saw my boyfriend out at the same bar the night before with another woman. My heart dropped. I decided to meet up with my brother in person to get the full story. We met at a coffee shop, and he showed me a picture he took from across the bar. Yeah, that was definitely my boyfriend. I texted him, asking if he wanted to meet up and talk. He agreed, but when I brought up the bar incident, he got defensive again. He insisted it was just a friend and that I was overreacting. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was really off, so I decided to do some digging. I found the woman's profile online and realized she was an old friend from college. Great. After scrolling through her photos, I saw a picture of her with my boyfriend at some party. I asked him about it, and he claimed they were just acquaintances. Yeah, right. I could tell he was lying, and the atmosphere between us shifted. It was like all the warmth and comfort we used to have just disappeared. I started to think of a plan to get to the bottom of this. I invited him to a family barbecue, and he reluctantly agreed to come. At the barbecue, I casually mentioned the woman to my family, hoping to bait him into giving me more information. My dad jokingly asked if he knew her, and I swear my boyfriend looked like he was about to pass out. It was kind of funny, actually. I decided it was time to confront him directly in front of my family. I asked him about his relationship with the woman, and he just stammered for an excuse. My mom then interjected and asked him if he was hiding something, which caught him completely off guard. In a moment of panic, he blurted out that he didn't want to talk about it right then, which was just a cop-out. I decided to take matters into my own hands and sent the woman a message. I asked her if they had been seeing each other, and she responded really quickly. To my surprise, she said they had been hanging out, but insisted it was just as friends. I sent her the picture from the bar and asked for the truth. She revealed that they had kissed once, but it didn't mean anything to her. I mean, what the hell? Armed with this information, I confronted my boyfriend again. This time, I was ready for the truth, and nothing but the truth. The confrontation escalated, and I decided to end things because I was done feeling like a fool. I left him stunned, and honestly, I felt a little bad, but I couldn't keep putting up with this crap. Edit. It's been a few days since we broke up. I've been taking time for myself, figuring out what I want and need. My friends have been amazing, keeping me busy and supporting me. I've also been talking to a therapist about everything, which has really helped. I'm focusing on myself for now. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.